Welcome to Derry is a prequel to the It stories that we've been watching in the movies and on television, starring Javon Adepo and James Remar. He's in everything nowadays, man. It's got the same kind of a premise as the other movies. It, Pennyworth the clown is stalking a bunch of children. And just like you add seasoning, most of us add seasoning to our food, salt, pepper, whatever it needs to add seasoning to the children. He could just run up on them and devour them. Num, 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 num. But he needs to season them properly. And the way he seasons them is to add a amount of fear. They out and out say it here. Fear creates adrenaline, and adrenaline is noticeable in your blood, and it changes the way you smell and apparently the way you taste. I've never eaten a human. I've never hunted and stalked one to find out if it's different. I'm just going to take their word for it, man. But he does bring up a point. One of the kids brings up a point. A lot of animals, instead of just jumping out and eating their prey, a lot of animals will stalk them for a while. They want you to know, like a mouse and a cat. The cat's got the mouse, but it lets it go, it messes with it, whatever. It creates a level of adrenaline that is a fear byproduct that can be apparently smelled and tasted. So Pennyworth is basically doing that. Before he actually unalives somebody with a good old finger across the throat, he goes after him and he scares them, he terrifies them, and he gets them nice and scared, and then he gobbles them up. Num, 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 num. So the twist with this show is Pennyworth, who shows up every few years and comes about to devour terrified people. The twist in this show, which is very interesting, is the military knows about the entity and they're going after him. They want to catch Pennywise, which just doesn't sound right. When we see that in all the movies, catch the vampire. Nope, don't work right. Catch the werewolf. Nope, didn't work right. Catch the predator. Nope. Catch the alien. It never works out. Even if you catch it, something happens, man. Something's going to happen, and you're finger across the throat. It never works out. Why would you do that? These people don't watch movies, so they want to catch it. The government wants to catch it and weaponize it against Russia and America's enemies. So Pennywise shows up and he gobbles up some kids. He does that in a certain area where there is an African American man in charge of said area, and he gets picked as the villain. He's like, "Oh, you killed those kids," and the local police lock him up without any real evidence or anything, which is important because it draws in one of the other characters and makes that character get involved in that situation, which draws in their family from one direction. Another direction is one of the family members, I'm going to say it, the father, is working with the military he doesn't know it, but he's been brought there to help catch it. And the reason that he's been brought there is because the military has apparently been chasing Pennywise, and they understand basically where he's at. He's in Derry. He's stuck in Derry. They know he's basically there, and they know that he comes in what they call seasons. And they know this because they've apparently looked for him on a previous season and couldn't catch him. Seasons like, winter, spring, fall seasons, and not episodes, seasons. And they're in a rush because they're saying it's getting close to the end of the season. Pennywise, much like Jeepers Creepers, hibernates, and then he comes forward and he hunts people. And again, just like Jeepers Creepers, he's got to get them scared first. He hunts them and then he terrorizes them and then he gobbles them up and then he hibernates again for a set amount of time. And humans apparently are starting to get wise to that time. With Jeepers Creepers, people are getting wise to the time, like the farmer that's waiting for Jeepers Creepers to come alive because he's got that weapon pointed at him to unalive him again. Same thing with Jeepers Creepers, or with Pennywise. The military has been watching. They know when he's coming and when he's leaving, and they're trying to find him and catch him so that they can use him. I mean, the episode, the season's not over. So both seasons, the television season and his hunting season, are not over. So I'm sure they're probably going to catch him because that'll be a great cinematic thing. They catch him and then they got to knuckle up with him because he'll be in their facility. One of the people, Reamer, encountered it as a child. Now, as an adult, he's in charge of the military operation that's trying to catch it. So I'm sure he's had some influence on them going after it. He shouldn't, man. But, so they're going to try to catch it. And one of the things that they have on their side is Dick Hallorann, played by the actor Chris Chalk. He was born sensitive. In the African American community, they say you are born with a veil on your face or several veils on your face. Or they might say, he walks on the other side. Or, he know about those things. So they say different things to let you know that person might have some connection to the hoodoo type of the world. But basically being born with veil, they say. My theory is that Rick Holloman from It, Welcome to Derry, is eventually going to grow up to become Hallorann, the caretaker from The Shining. And I believe that the one from Derry is using The Shining. Born with veils on your face, that means that you can do stuff like see ghosts. You're aware of supernatural things and stuff like that. It's in the African American community. Chris Chalk plays a character that has those abilities and is helping them hunt down. He's in the military. How they knew about his ability, I don't know, but they know. And now he can help them find Pennywise. He can feel him. He feels him out there, and he's had an encounter where from his side, from his experience, he can enter people's minds, walk around in their minds, see stuff, pretty much like Charles Xavier. He reads people's minds by astral projecting into their minds, and he can do that. And normally people have no idea that he's in there or what's going on, but he says, when they're questioning him about it, because he had an encounter, he stops him at the end. He's like, hey, it's not supposed to be able to see me, but it saw me. And it's like, so you saw the creature? It's like, oh, more it saw me than I saw it. So it has some type of psionic ability also. It can read minds, or, of course it can, because it gets in people's minds, man. It gets in their minds and it finds their fears, and it uses their fears to help generate more fear so it can make you nice and tasty. They go back even further. Now, this is a prequel, but the prequel shows a prequel where They do a thing where they go back and they show a Native American woman talks to a Native American child and asks him, "Hey man, tell me what you know about." I forget what they call them, the barg, something like that. I can't remember. I'll put it on that screen if I can remember. But they say, "Tell me what you remember about, the creature." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And apparently, they're aware that millions of years ago, it fell from the night sky and landed on the earth millions of years before man. So that could mean, because wormwood, in the Bible, fell to the earth and caused all kinds of, mayhem, but it fell from the sky. And then you've got this creature that fell from the sky. So it could be demonic, because the Bible talks about things falling from the sky and coming to earth and doing harm to man. So this could be biblical, could be demonic, or it could straight up be alien. There's been, a talk, I talk to some friends on the internet, we talk and debate stuff all the time. And one of the things that we talk about is it alien, or is it demonic? Or is it other dimensional? But now that they've confirmed that they believe, and there's millions of years before man, so I don't know how they knew it fell from the sky. Millions of years before anybody could have seen it, But it fell from the sky, landed on Earth, hit the ground so hard that it became subterranean. It was under the earth. So they're like, okay, all right, well, it's in the earth. The capsule that it was in contained it, which makes me think more demonic. Something sent it there, trapped in a capsule that it couldn't escape. But then again, I mean, it could have been, because I wrote a story. I write stories. I wrote a story about a race of aliens that took an alien that they couldn't control or stop, and they put it in a capsule, just similar to this, that it couldn't escape, and they shot it into space, hoping it would just drift in space forever, and it eventually landed on Earth. Whole story about that. But it's very similar. So I could see it being that aliens sent it here also, because it was just out of control, baby. Out of control. So it still leans to one or the other. It could be this, could be that. Who knows? But either way, the ship that it landed in, Native Americans eventually came across it, and they for some reason they were messing with it, broke it, and it escaped. But they had a shard of the ship, and all Brightburn style, it feared that piece of the ship, because that piece of the ship could not only contain it, but could potentially kill it as well. So it didn't want to deal with that. So it didn't mess with the Native Americans, because they had that shard. But then they found it couldn't leave a certain area, which I think means that it has to be connected to the ship. That's what I think. We'll find out probably next week. But I think it has a connection with the ship, and it can only go so far. So the Native Americans was like, look, it's stuck here. We just stay out of the woods, man. It can hunt in those woods, deer or whatever, and we will stay out of the woods, because they learned that it was in there and it was killing people. You learn about horrible things usually because other people falling victim to them. The first person didn't know what fire could do to you until somebody got set on fire, and they was like, oh, well, no, don't stick your hand in that. They realized, you learn. It was that long lizard, an alligator. Did y'all see what happened to Fred when he tried to pet it? Yeah, don't do that again. You learn unfortunately, usually because of the detriment of other people. So they know, don't go in those woods, man. It will get you. So it's in the woods. Eventually, they have to create safeguards to make sure that it can never leave the woods. But I think that this military is going to do something daffy, and they're going to break the bonds, and it will be able to escape, which is curious because this is a prequel. So does this set something up so that in the future we find out that if it wanted to, it could leave Derry, and perhaps it does on occasion, maybe even disguising itself up like the Jeepers Creepers thing? Maybe that they're the same creature. I mean, it's a very similar story. Crash landed on Earth. Every so often, it has a season to hunt. Then it hibernates. It needs humans to be terrified before it devours them. I don't know, man. It's pretty similar to me. But this is a very interesting story because they've got, supernatural entities on both sides. The Air Force has one. The dude, Hollerman, played again by Chris Trout. Hollerman can, read people's minds and walk into their minds, and he's sensitive to stuff. He touched a thing that was around when it was walking around on the Earth, and he can stalk it by touching it and feeling its evil vibrations or whatever he's doing. That's interesting. One last thing I'm going to say, the balloon is here already. The red balloon is floating around, which I thought was odd because I thought that they used the red balloon to remind themselves that they were in a dream. But it's already floating around. Actually, they're starting to show Pennywise the clown. And he looks different because I guess clowns look different back then. He's got a different clown outfit, but it is in fact Pennywise, played by the same cartoon Pennywise actor as the movies, Bill Skarsgård. He's Pennywise, so I guess he's going to be dancing in here or something, wacky that, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a good story, and I like a good story. So I, so far, would give it Welcome to Derry. Which honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that good. But it, Welcome to Derry, I would give it eight bags of popcorn. 8 bags of popcorn. It almost got 7, but this last episode is starting to tie things together, and it's really interesting. I didn't get into any real specifics because you got to check it out. I can't get into the real specifics. I don't think until it's over with, but it's good so far. They've got a few more episodes. I'm wondering where it's going to go. 8 bags of popcorn. But that's what I think. More importantly, what do you think? Now that you had a chance to look at the video, let's look at it some more, talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.